Okay. This meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see. We have our Deputy City Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss. Here.
What's your name? Got it. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a
Support.
second? Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The consent agenda is routine items that are approved without discussion as one to save time. Anyone can ask to have one of these removed for discussion. Item A, regular council meeting minutes of April 2nd. B, Board of Review meeting minutes of March 12th, March 13th, March 26th, and March 26th in the afternoon. C, Planning Commission meeting minutes of March 12th. D, request to advertise for bids for the program year 2017 Yard Services Program, M686. E, request to cancel the April 24th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. F, Public Safety Activity Summary Reports for January and February. G, Payment Application Number 1 for the 2017-18 Sewer Lining Project, M677, to Instuform Technologies USA Limited for the amount of $53,358.34, and licenses new and renewals as submitted for April 16th. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Did you include support?
What's H? Licenses new and renewals.
You did.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yep. We got support? Yep. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss. Yes.
We have our Oakland County Commissioner, Helene Zach, here to update us on what's new in Oakland County. Welcome.
I'm one of your two Oakland County Commissioners representing Oak Park. Good evening, everybody. Helene Zach. Want to bring you some information from Oakland County. First of all, great news. We are finally kicking off our DNA lab. We have a soft opening, and this is a big deal when we talk about public safety, and Oakland County's been working on it for years. And the only DNA lab has been the state of Michigan, and they are always weeks, months behind in testing the results. So now we're going to have our own lab, and purchasing the equipment, training people, getting all of the certifications. So we've had a soft opening. And starting, we've been doing services, but now we're hooked up into the FBI, other crime statistics as well. So I'm very excited, and there will be an open house at a future date. But this really makes a difference if we can do our own testing as far as turnaround on any type of crime court case to have our own lab. I do want to report to you, one of the things that I do as county commissioner is I approve a lot of ballot language before the voters. And one of the things that we pay on, we have a millage to support the Detroit Institute of Arts. And there is an arts authority that oversees the public dollars that are collected. And one of the things that we mandated in this contract is that they would invest money in our local community education programs. We are going to have Inside Out art coming into Oak Park. But I do want to report to you that they are exceeding expectations as far as community investment dollars. For example, they offer free transportation for school systems to go to the museum. We all have, as residents, free entry as part of our millage. And then they have senior programming every Thursday, speakers, different events there that also serves different residents. So they're doing a much better job of investing our community dollars. Last week I had the opportunity to participate in a program that was entitled Opioid Drugs in the Workplace, that was co-sponsored between the Tri-Community Coalition, which includes Oak Park, and the Greater Detroit Area Health Council. And it was oversold. And opioid drugs, it's a public health crisis. And I learned a lot about what our county, Oakland, has done recently. And I do encourage you to go on to the Oakland County website, www.oakgov.com, under the Health Department. And they do have, they are now mapping where there are, unfortunately, overdose deaths. They are mapping treatment resources. They are mapping alternative pain type of complementary resources to treat pain. The numbers are staggering. In 2016, in Oakland County, we had 743,969 prescriptions written in Oakland County. We have $1,200,000. And there is a lawsuit that Oakland County, along with Wayne, are suing the pharmaceutical companies because they have overproduced this medication and have not adequately trained physicians how to correctly prescribe, because this is a ridiculous amount of pills that come in our community. And the best thing is just to keep people from having them. It's good medication used correctly for pain, but there's obviously overly prescribed. We also had in 2016 165 deaths in Oakland County. In 2017, I think it almost doubled. It's in 300. It's not on the website yet. And I know that the city of Oak Park, along with other communities, participate in your medication drop-off program, and where if you aren't finishing your prescription, you should bring it to the police department here, get rid of it so people can't abuse that. And in Oakland County in 2016, they collected 3,507 pounds of unused medications in this take back. Also, through our public health system, there were 6,409 people treated for opioid drug use. So it's really a big issue.
And the addict doesn't look like you think. Two of my friends wound up addicted after a couple surgeries.
So it is highly, because doctors don't prescribe it appropriately, it's highly addictive. Part of the training from this pharmacist, state of Michigan, is shows the brain chemistry, how it gets altered very quickly into addiction. Unlike other substances, it's very fast. So I'm not surprised. We are all touched by this. That's why I'm talking about it. Awareness is the first way of preventing it. In my finance committee, we had a discussion on the 911 surcharge coming up. And this is a charge that's on telephone lines that helps pay for our emergency response. And one of the things that we are working on doing is changing the whole communication network, going from the old telephone copper lines into an EZNet program, so that we will be able to text things and, send photos. In any case, it's a transition. Oakland County leads this among the law enforcement agencies. We are looking at increasing the phone line 4 cents a line from 32 cents to 36. It's not necessarily it'll be for this year, but there's still a lot of unknown factors about how much the state's going to pay, things like that. We didn't take a vote on it because some of my colleagues don't want to vote on any price increase until after election filing. So I want to talk a little bit about parks. Our Southeast Michigan Council on Government, SEMCOG, has a new app for those that have smartphones. You can download it for free. It's called the Southeast Michigan Park Finder. And through this app, you can find parks in our whole area, Metro Park, City Parks, so forth. Finally, another millage, another thing on your tax bill, there is a separate millage for the Oakland County Park System. And technically, that should be renewed in 2020 is when it runs out. But our Parks Board is looking at trying to put this millage before the voters in 2018. Initially, the Parks Board voted to put it before the voters for the August election, but they've decided to not do that and put it, they're now talking about November. And part of the reason the Parks Board is not evenly, we as Board of Commissioners appoint people to the Parks Board. We do not have much representation from the south part of the county. And we don't have many parks, and so I always feel that the Parks Board doesn't represent me well. And that how they choose to invest our parks money isn't where people live and play, that we have a lot of votes on this end of the county. And we've been very explicit talking to some of our parks leadership saying, we really want to see more of our dollars invested on this end of the county. And, there's some creative ways that Wayne County has allocated some of their millage to local parks. Wouldn't it be nice if Oak Park got some parks millage money to our local wonderful programming? So they are, we're having lots of discussions, and I'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you, as always. Next, I'd like to call Assistant City Manager Kevin Yee to discuss the memorial resolution for a former director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. It is an honor for me to stand before you today and talk about the life of Henry Lieback. Henry Lieback served the City of Oak Park from 1956 until 1987 as the Director of Public Works and City Engineer. He was a lifelong member of the American Public Works Association, and he served distinctly in that role. He was very involved, started what is known as the Michigan Public Service Institute, which having a master's degree, bachelor's degree, and have been in school most of my adult life, was probably the best training I've ever been involved with. So he was there for giving back to the profession in which he served, and I often ran into him regularly at Public Works meetings, at the Michigan Public Service Institute, at various things throughout the community. So he always had nice things to say about Oak Park, was always interested and asked about Oak Park. And just a couple years ago, he had his son Larry had called up and said, "Hey, Henry wants to go through City Hall and check out your new building." And he walked through, and he was very impressed with what we have here and what we've done. He was always a great person to bounce stuff off of, and he will be definitely missed. His family is here. He's survived by his children, Theodore, Larry, and John. His grandchildren, Jillian, Rachel, Zachary, and Trevor. And his son, Larry, would like to come up and say a few words as well. So, Larry.
Thank you, and welcome, Larry.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep this very brief. We want to thank you for this proclamation honoring our father, Henry Lieback. He was a great man and was well-liked by his peers, by the coworkers that he had in both Southfield and Oak Park, and most of the people that met him. We also want to thank a sixth member of our family, the City of Oak Park. Oak Park is well known and has been a great place to raise a family, and the city government has always been attentive to its residents and businesses. From the earliest mayors of our youth, like Joe Forbes, Dave Shepard, Charlotte Rothstein, to its current administration, you guys have always been attentive and always proud, and you always made your residents proud, and we heard this often from the people that you serve. It is a parent's job to raise their children, but the city you grew up in also has a significant impact. As we grew up in Oak Park, my brothers and I traveled to all corners of this city, from the bowling at Oak Park Lanes, Little League baseball games at Key, Lessinger, Pepper Elementary School, working at Oriental City Restaurant, formerly located over at 10 and Greenfield. We knew the city very well. Living in the Lincoln and Greenfield area, we grew up with fond memories of the 7-Eleven, Town Club Pop, and the Parkwood Diner on Coolidge. Most of these places don't exist now, but we won't ever forget them. Please continue the great tradition of being a family city with an open ear to your residents. We know that our dad rests confident that the city he loved will continue to be strong. Thank you again. This is a great honor. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your beautiful
Thanks
words.
again.
Thank you.
We do have a memorial resolution for Henry Liebeck. We were greatly grieved to learn of his death, retiree from the city of Oak Park. He served in the Army, went to Wayne State and Lawrence, moved on to the city of Oak Park as director and city engineer for 30 years. Lifetime member of American Public Works Association, a registered engineer for 60 years, served as chapter president and helped upcoming people learn what they needed to know and the philosophy that he served with. He was founder of the Michigan Public Service Institute, which promotes the education of public works officials through training courses and certification. As our assistant city manager mentioned, it was the most valuable course that he's had. We mourn his loss and extend to his family our sincere sympathy in this hour of their bereavement. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Marion McClellan, Mayor of the City of Oak Park, on behalf of the Oak Park City Council, city staff, and our citizens, express profound regret and grief and wish the family of Henry Liebeck the hope that they will be consoled by the wonderful memories of his great life and his many achievements. And if you would like to come to the front, the whole family, and we'll have a group photo. Is there anything else anybody wanted to say? No?
Thanks again, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item 8A is a public hearing to hear comments and concerns on the following special assessment districts: 670 unpaid utility invoices, 671 unpaid false alarm invoices, 672 unpaid miscellaneous concrete replacement invoices, 673 unpaid property blight invoices, and 674 unpaid sidewalk replacement invoices. I now declare the public hearing open to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak about this issue? Are you here to speak about it? We can help you out. Nobody? No? Okay.
No, right.
No one?
Apparently not.
All right, okay.
Nobody's here to complain.
Nobody's here to complain. This is good. Deputy Clerk Vecchio, are there any written objections to read into the record?
Yes, for the Special Assessment District 670 unpaid utilities, 8531 West 9 Mile Road, 24061 Oneida Street. For District 673, property blight, 22180 Greenfield, 23500 Wildwood, 23571 Rensselaer, 13500 Rosemary.
Okay, and additionally, there were people who came in, or those were the people who came in tonight?
Yeah, those
Yes.
were the objections submitted tonight.
Very good, very good. I declare the public hearing on special assessment districts closed, and I'll entertain a motion to adopt Special Assessment Resolution Number 9, confirming the roles and withholding these noted temporary exceptions, and Special Assessment Resolution Number 10, setting the due date of May 31st, 2018, including a penalty for 10% for the special assessment districts 670 unpaid utility, 671 unpaid false alarm, 672 unpaid miscellaneous concrete replacement, 673 unpaid property blight invoices, and 674 unpaid sidewalk replacement invoices. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Councilmember Burns? And is
Second.
there- Second? Great. Councilmember Weiss. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss. Yes. Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. There are no communications or special licenses this month. We have accounting reports. A, approval for payment of an invoice submitted by Seacrest, Wardle, Lynch, Hampton, Truex, and Morley for legal services in the total amount of $688.
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Can someone, city manager, perhaps review what this is for?
Absolutely, members of council. This is the ongoing expenses related to the district court litigation. The litigation part, the part of the litigation related to Huntington Woods and Pleasant Ridge has now been finalized, as you know, but keep in mind there's also the Royal Oak Township portion of that is still outstanding. So these bills, unfortunately, may carry out a little longer than we wanted them to.
Got it. Any questions? Nope. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes, motion carried. B, approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Loco Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $15,163.02. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and supported. Questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
motion carried. We don't have any bids this time, so we're moving on to item 13A, which is first reading of an ordinance to amend Article 2, definitions, Article 15, mixed-use district, Article 9, light industrial district, Article 19, special land uses, Appendix A, zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Can we have, we have a handy person here, Director Maroney, to explain what this is about.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. In March, we started a discussion with the Planning Commission in regards to making amendments to our zoning ordinance to allow for some other uses that serve alcohol. And when we were doing some research in brew pubs, breweries, wineries, and distilleries, they have different needs. And we decided to craft new ordinances to allow for those uses that were more specific instead of having a blanket ordinance that just covered restaurants. So we began the discussion with them back in March and discussed with them what they would like to see in it. We made all of those revisions into our new ordinance to allow them in these new districts. And in front of you is the Planning Commission's recommendation, passed unanimously at the meeting last Monday evening, to approve this as an allowed use in our zoning districts.
Wonderful. So these are new uses that we didn't think of when we passed the original.
Correct. A brewery, a distillery, and a winery have a special need where their main purpose of business is to manufacture beverages and then sell them into restaurants and stores. But a side part of that is having a tasting room on site. To allow for that, we needed to craft our ordinance differently so we could allow that as a use.
And it's still not a bar.
It is not a bar, and we have a very limited amount of space that would be allowed for the use of a tasting room. The majority of the business has to be for manufacturing the alcoholic beverages.
Got it. So, did we get a motion? We did. Yeah.
I have a question.
Discussion or questions? Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Suppose I want to open a bar in Oak Park and I can't. So I come up with a brilliant idea. In my basement, operating about 2 square feet, I start brewing beer. Then I have a bar upstairs. I produce a gallon of beer a year. It's less than 18,000 gallons. And behold, I have a microbrewery, or a brew pub. Is there something in this, and I obviously took a bit of an extreme example. Is there something in this ordinance that prevents me from doing that? Because I know it's 25% instead of 50%, but you know, looking at this, trying to take it to the extreme example, what's stopping me from doing something like that? Because I want to open up a bar.
Can't do
I
it
don't
in your
really.
home. The zoning regulations will prohibit you from doing that in your residential district. So there's one of your prohibitions against doing it in your home.
Well, okay, not in my home. I mean in the basement of my establishment. I don't mean in my home basement. I mean in the basement of my establishment. I put up a small, and I just brew beer in a very small little area in the basement, produce a gallon of beer a year, and then upstairs I have a full-blown bar.
You would need
Up to 25%.
Yeah, you would need to have a liquor license through the state of Michigan as a brewery, microbrewery, distillery, or winery in order to do any of those things, which would prohibit you. And 60% of your floor space on your building would need to be dedicated for the manufacture of those beverages. So you couldn't do it in a small little corner and produce a very small portion and open up as a bar.
I assumed
The
that there was
other
an answer
thing-
like this. I just didn't see it anywhere in here. So,
Are you saying that's in the state law?
Correct.
oh, so this would be in the
Well, the
actual state law.
60% of floor space is an addition that we put as an extra precaution. That is not state law.
That is
So it's
in
an extra
here?
precaution for Oak Park specifically.
Can you point to where that's at?
Let me find it.
I'm sure there was language in here preventing my brilliant idea, but I just couldn't find it.
So if you look under section 1930D for breweries, wineries, and distilleries, number 1, not more than 40% of the gross floor area of the facility shall be used for purposes other than the manufacturing of alcoholic liquor.
Was it D?
Yes,
D
D1.
part 1.
T1.
Well, there you go. I read it too quickly.
Foiled.
Madam Mayor,
Councilmember Rich.
the new zoning district, or
Correct.
the multi-use district, I understand it covers 8 Mile, covers 11 Mile. What else does it cover?
Our new mixed-use district is only on 11 Mile, and then the other zoning district that this would be allowed in is our light industrial. We felt those were the two areas they would most likely be suited for because their main purpose is a manufacturing facility.
11 Mile, I understand. That's Greenfield to Coolidge. The light industrial area?
Light industrial area, there's a few portions on 8 Mile, they're kind of spotty. Coolidge from 8 Mile to just south of 9 Mile is light industrial, and those would be the only areas, aside from the mixed use on 11.
The 40% of the premises that can be used as a tasting room, that 40%, we're changing, this changes the rule that tasting room doesn't have to serve 50% of its food, of its profits or its
Right.
gross profit being from food. It's reduced down to 25%.
So the manufacturing facility, since their main business would be producing the alcoholic beverages and they're selling them off-site to restaurants, et cetera, there's no way they could meet that 50% requirement. And there is a differentiation here between brew pubs and breweries, wineries, and distilleries. A brew pub has to have 25% of the sales for food, and that is a requirement by the state of Michigan liquor license controls. The brewery, winery, and distillery are different. They do not have a food requirement in relation to them being able to have the tasting room.
Did we build a requirement into this ordinance
For food?
for breweries, distilleries, and wineries, assuming that somebody really wants to start a winery here?
Yes, yes. What we did is broke it into 3 different categories. We used to only have one category called restaurants. And since there are new uses that we needed to craft new ordinances, we added 2 more. One is for brew pubs, which you have to have the 25% food requirement of the sales. And then the third one is for breweries, wineries, and distilleries. And then that one does not have the food requirement.
When I looked at the you added here in this package, the alcoholic liquor definitions. Is that part of this ordinance, or is that just giving us information to us?
We always like to give definitions for everything that we have in our ordinances, and since they weren't in there, we added them in. And they do follow what state of Michigan has as their definition.
Okay. All right, because I don't know if we're going to get any winemaker, small winemaker, buying grapes elsewhere and crushing them here in Oak Park. But when I read this definition, it doesn't make it clear to me that they have to make the wine on premises. They can sell it on premises. The same thing with the distillery and the microbrewery. I wouldn't want to create a situation where somebody has their microbrewery in another city, and then they have you see where I'm going with this? It's a little ambiguous there.
So if you read the winemaker in the first sentence, it says, means an establishment that may sell wine they manufacture. So it's telling you right there that they are manufacturing the wine on premise.
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that, but I guess elsewhere it does say that they have, it doesn't say they manufacture
Are you
on
reading the
premise.
definition? Maybe you're seeing something differently, because that's
Yeah,
what mine
I'm
says.
seeing the ambiguity because I'm a lawyer. But you're saying that elsewhere, the winemaker, the distillery, and the brewery would still have to have 60% of the premises devoted towards their distilling
Manufacture.
activities.
Correct.
All right.
I have another question.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I haven't given up on my bar. So I see that breweries, wineries, and distilleries, I couldn't open up anything called any of those, but what's stopping me from opening a brew pub in the style that I described before? Because that doesn't have that 40% of the floor area requirement.
No, but it does have the 25% food requirement, so you would need to open a restaurant in relation to that business.
But then, in other words, 25% of the revenue would have to be from food as opposed to our ordinance now, which is 50. So if I want to have a bar where 75% of my sales are alcohol, I can have a brew pub.
Well, you would have to actually open as a brew pub. You can't just open as a bar.
Well,
The
I'd
Michigan
call it a
Liquor
brew
Control
pub.
Commission has their definition tailored to actually be a manufacturing facility that is a restaurant on site, and that's what a brew pub is. Because the majority of their business is selling beer or wine or distilled liquors, they only do a smaller portion of their sales from food.
So I see that it requires that there has to be at least table area for 20 people. But if I have 3 tables, I can accomplish that. The rest of it can look like a bar. I can call it a brew pub.
I don't-
Brew a little
serve-
bit,
I
brew
don't
a
think
little brew
that
in the
You can't
basement.
serve
State of Michigan would give you
spirits.
a brew pub license to do that because you're not operating as a brew pub. They have very strict rules and regulations, and if you don't look like a brew pub and operate like a brew pub, they're not giving you a brew pub license.
So the state wouldn't give me that license?
They would not.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, another question.
Councilmember Rich. Yes, please.
We as a city don't issue the license until the state issues it.
Until the state does, okay.
The
deflated
proposed
me
ordinance
again.
has the 60% rule for wineries and distilleries and breweries, that 60% of the facility must be producing alcohol. The brew pub section of the ordinance does not have that same 60% rule. And what is the
Correct.
reason for that?
The reason being is because typically in a brew pub, their manufacturing portion does not take up as much floor space as an actual brewery does, because a brewery, their main function is to brew beer on site or wine or whatever, to sell off premise, but they do have a tasting room. A brew pub, the majority of their business typically is a restaurant. If you've ever been to a brew pub, they have a nice restaurant that's
I have
associated to
quaffed
it.
a few beers
But
in my
a
time.
very small portion of the floor space is actually for brewing beer.
So, but there's nothing stopping the brew pub from having the room that has the darts, dartboard, the pool table, nothing, right? They can put up big screen TV and that type of thing, like we have at bars, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we don't restrict them in a restaurant either.
I have a question.
Councilmember.
So under Article 9, Section 902F, the location of them, it says located on industrial sites abutting the major thoroughfares of 8 Mile, Coolidge, and 11 Mile Road. Didn't we just rezone 11 Mile to be mixed use and not light industrial?
That is correct. There is a very small portion of 11 Mile that is still zoned light industrial, however.
Would this be allowed in the mixed use, or would this only be allowed in industrial?
In the mixed use, it is allowed in the section right above that, Section 1502, that allows it there, and then the light industrial is the Section 902. So yes, it's allowed in both of those.
Section 903.
Where is the light industrial section of 11 Mile?
Essentially, it goes from Greenfield to 2 blocks west of Coolidge. So the mixed-use district ends about a block short of encompassing
Okay,
that
gotcha.
entire area.
All right, thank you.
This is not the kind of place you go to get drunk. This is the kind of place you go to, you're a Feinschmecker, you're a gourmet, and you're tasting these different, this is not a place you go to get drunk, if that's what your concern is. Yeah.
Madam Mayor, I wasn't going to get into it. I was just going to vote no.
Oh, huh?
But I will say the truth. People go to bars to get drunk. People will go to the brew pub to get drunk. People who drink, and I know because I'm a person who drinks, go to bars to get drunk. So please, don't speak to me like I'm a child.
Okay. We have an opportunity to have these kind of upscale uses in the city of Oak Park, and this is going to be a benefit to the city. This is not going to be a nuisance. So if you've been to these other kinds of places, I think Michael Seligson on the on the Planning Commission was all about it, said it's a really, really nice use. It's very, very pleasant to be there. People play games there, and he would not have approved it, I think, if he thought it was going to be a negative thing for the city. This is a positive thing. Are we ready to vote? Is anyone like, any other questions? Any concerns?
I have a lot of concerns. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to vote on this yet. I don't know if I'm going to be ready at all tonight.
Why?
Do I have to vote?
We need, can we say why?
I'm just not sure if I'm ready. I want to go on a listening tour. I want to see what the people think. I mean, this is really, some things we have to make decisions for what's best for the city. This is the kind of thing where, what do the people want? I don't know.
This
I know they don't want bars.
This
They
is,
made
yeah,
that
they
clear
don't want
several times.
bars, they don't want strip
But they want
clubs.
alcohol.
But they want something nice that will attract people from other cities.
I don't know if that's this.
Yes, it is. Have you been to these?
I have.
This is a nice, positive use that other cities are welcoming. If we don't want it, they will be happy to go somewhere else with their money and their business. We allowed restaurants to serve hard liquor, and this is just like these little sampling, little different kinds of beers and.
Well, they don't only sell samplings. They sell big cups also.
Yeah.
As many as you want.
Madam Mayor,
Until you
can I
get
ask a
dram shop.
question?
Yes.
There's nothing that stops this brew pub from selling a shot of scotch, correct?
Yes, there is. They would need a Class C liquor license.
Right. Well, that's like $2,300. We've got 18 of those to give out, correct?
Yes.
So they get the Class C liquor license, they can sell a shot of scotch, true?
If we issued it to them, then they could, yes.
But we won't.
One thing, if it eases either of your minds, we do enter into contracts with anybody that we give a liquor license to or a brewery license. It's something that our city attorney's office has been using with our liquor licenses we currently have in place. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ebony, but that gives us the option that if we are having issues with any of these facilities, they're crafted so that we can take that license back at any time as opposed to the renewal period in April. So we put that as an extra precaution in all of our liquor licenses that are issued in the city of Oak Park. So we have that option if something were to be not what we were told
So
initially.
to be fair, you envision that if somebody were to create a brew pub here, they'd be making really cool beer, but they probably also would apply for a Class C liquor license, correct? That's what you would imagine, right? Of course.
A brew pub may, because a brew pub, their main function is really a restaurant. A brewery, probably not. They just want people to come in and sample their beer so that when they go to other restaurants, they're requesting that beer, and then that increases
I
their sales
understand
in the
that.
restaurants.
And the brewery has the 60% floor space rule, which is a good
Correct.
protection and makes us clear that they're going to invest a significant sum of money. They're going to be creating their.
The brew pub, you have to look at it a little differently, though. The main function is being a restaurant. However, they can't meet that 50% sale requirement of food because they're also, as part of their business, selling beer off-site. So it's infeasible for them to be required to have that. In our restaurants, we have a 50% requirement, and if they were brewing beer, they wouldn't be able to meet that. So this allows them to be able to function as a restaurant, just like the ones we currently have today, with no issues.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
Are we ready to vote?
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Well, it passes without me, but I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Rich.
No.
Okay, 3 votes, it passes. Thank you. Next, are we on B? 13B. First reading of an ordinance to amend Article 3, regulations of on the premises consumption, Chapter 6, Sections 652, 53, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 63, 64, and 65 of the General Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan. Let's get our motion and our second, and then we can get an explanation. Do we have a motion and a second?
Support?
Moved and supported. Can you explain this one?
Yes, so this is in relation to the same ordinance that was just passed. The first one changed to allow it in the zoning districts. This one amends our general code. This is twofold in these changes here. First, after working with the alcoholic liquor licenses for 2 years now, we worked with Mark Hotz in the city clerk's office, and we made some amendments based on his experiences over the last few years on how we should be going through the process to make things a little bit easier, more streamlined for the city clerk's office, as well as some changes recommended by our city attorney, just in some definitions. So aside from those changes, the rest of them are in relation to adding these new brew pub as another use, and then breweries, distilleries, and wineries.
Right. There were no concerns at the Planning Commission. It was unanimously.
Madam Mayor, I think we need a motion.
We have a motion?
We have a motion.
Oh, we do have a motion, okay.
Yep. Planning Commission unanimously supported this with no concerns. I think Joe Brown is the assistant chair, and he was the one that was really concerned about liquor licenses when Sahara was concerned about getting it. And he thought it's going to be bad for the neighborhood, and there's going to be drunks walking up and down his street. And he was really opposed. He had a lot of concerns. And this time, when we were talking about rezoning 11 Mile Road, he said, you know, I was the most opposed to this, and we've lived with it for a couple of years. We don't even know that they have a liquor license at Sahara at this point. It just hasn't been a problem in the neighborhood or anywhere else. And so he was the most vocal critic, and he was the one arguing to pass this, and it passed unanimously in the Planning Commission.
Madam Mayor.
If I could just say something.
Yes.
I said Madam Mayor first.
Yes, go ahead.
You're older.
Age before beauty.
This is just the procedural element now.
Right.
We've discussed it, we voted. We kind of know where the 3 votes are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just can proceed to a vote. This is just procedurally to add it so that the city can monitor the liquor licenses. So I don't think there's really any further discussion. We've got the 3, we've got the 2, we should probably vote. That would be my suggestion.
We will hold discussion. Thank you for your input. Councilmember Radner.
Just one last comment I wanted to make. Joe may have completely changed his mind about that. That's entirely possible. People don't go to Sahara's to drink. They go there to eat. I'm okay with people going to restaurants and ordering a drink. I like that. I think that's great. It's great for the city. It's great for malls. It's great for everything. But to have a location where the emphasis there is on drinking, particularly with the breakdown of the revenue that they're going to be generating, concerns me. And that's why I voted no, and that's why I'm going to vote no for this too. But I'm outvoted. That's how democracy works. So
Thank you.
I think we are ready to vote.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, we're ready to vote.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
No.
Councilmember Rich.
No.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried. City Attorney Ebony Duff will speak to us about the Great Lakes Water Authority class action settlement resolutions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I actually brought a copy of the resolution for you, so you all have it. The mayor asked me to give an update on this. The Oakland County Water Commissioners passed this authority, the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, I apologize, passed this resolution at their last meeting that was held. And essentially, they wanted this resolution sent out to all of the suburban member communities, of which City of Oak Park is one, to the Great Lakes Water Authority. And essentially what the Oakland County Board of Commissioners is saying in this resolution is that They do not agree with there have been 2 class action settlements in which they were a named party, and the Detroit Water Sewer Department was also a named party in underlying litigation. The Board of Commissioners, in summary, and I'll tell you this is over about 4 months of meetings and the like, felt that their finance department and their legal board was not being transparent with the disclosure that these settlements were, 1, offered or on the table, and then 2, that the settlements actually had been accepted or approved by the Great Lakes Water Authority administration and staff. So again, just to state that again, because it's a bit confusing, but the Great Lakes Water Authority Board is essentially saying that they were not apprised of settlement discussions and then the ultimate approval of settlements that were made by the administration and staff. And without getting too far in the weeds on the mayor's primary issue, of course, is how does this affect our City of Oak Park residents with respect to water rates and the like? And I'll tell you, unfortunately, at this point, we don't know what, if any, effect these particular lawsuits will have on the City of Oak Park water and sewer rates. The dispute between the Great Lakes Water Authority and their staff or administration arises out of the former, and I don't want to get into the details, but the former Detroit Water Sewer Department, when it was split off into a separate authority, the Great Lakes Water Authority, and then there was also a division that retained a lot of the debt that was underlying from the original Detroit Water and Sewer Department. Part of their agreement was that if there was any resolution of these lawsuits, I think the Oakland County Water Commissioners thought that that settlement should come out of any money or assets retained solely by Detroit Water and Sewer. Instead, it looks like the settlements have committed funds potentially that would come out of the Great Lakes Water Authority budget, which would include any charges or rates or fees they obtained from current customers, including Oakland and Macomb counties, of which City of Oak Park is one. So while we do see at some point that whatever the resolution is in those lawsuits, there may be an attendant either rate increase, and again, they have not said that at this point, and specifically at a January 25th meeting of this year, the Great Lakes Water Authority have assured our member communities that at this point, they are not looking to pass that on to us, but at this point, the reality is they don't know. The litigation is pending. Of more pressing importance, I think, to our City of Oak Park is the fact that we do have our own pending water rate litigation. We have filed an application for leave to the Michigan Supreme Court because we think there are very serious issues as a matter of law regarding our charter and the rates we do charge that we believe are approved by our city charter. Unfortunately, we just found out that the Michigan Supreme Court would not take our application, so essentially they are telling us to continue to fight out the litigation at the circuit court stage, which is what we're going to continue to do. At our next meeting, we will hold a closed session just with your legal counsel so we can talk about strategy. There have been some settlement offers discussed in that case, or demands made, I should state, for your consideration, and we'll be discussing that at the April 30th Oak Park City Council meeting. And if you all have any questions regarding the resolution, I know some of you may just be getting it today, please feel free to contact my office. We can go over it. But the key question is what effect this will have on our residents, and at this point, we just don't know.
Right. Any questions for the attorney? Yes.
City Attorney, could you explain, just for the people listening, about that class action that's been brought against the city for the water, and what that would mean for residents, potentially?
I'm sorry, the City of Oak Park?
Yeah.
Okay, well, just the lawsuit that is currently pending is a group of residents who are essentially asserting that the current water and sewer rates are operating as a tax that should be voted on by the public. The city's position and the method of instituting our water and sewer rates, we are doing it pursuant to city charter, and we believe in compliance with state law, and also in accordance with what our recommended auditors, we have an outside auditing firm comes in that makes recommendations on our infrastructure and the applicable rates that should be charged. Quite frankly, historically, City Council has not been passing on the suggested rate increases. You've not been funding your water and sewer fund for infrastructure as suggested by the specialists in that area. Yet you are facing a lawsuit from your residents in that regard. And that's going to be the topic of discussion on April 30th.
You mean we're charging less than they're suggesting we charge them?
You are charging less than they suggest you charge.
But the residents who are suing us saying that we're charging too much, or we're
No,
calculating our rate incorrectly.
Or it should have been voted
So
on.
actually,
or
it's really too low.
something.
But they don't know that, so it's gonna increase if they win.
Right.
This is probably not something we should be talking about with pending litigation. You could, but
Right. But we
probably
shouldn't.
something we shouldn't be talking about.
Right. Moving on. Human Resources Department, we have a request to approve updated municipal employees retirement system agreements.
Mayor, if I could, City Manager part here.
Oh, yes.
Under administration, actually 15A, if I could have our Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works and our Director of Facilities, Dave DeCoster, join me at the podium.
A.
We have our friends from Hatsala here.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. The City of Oak Park is currently leasing space to a nonprofit group of Hatsala of Michigan. The current one-year lease expires May 1st, 2018. Hatsala has expressed interest in extending the lease for one more year. This would extend the lease to April 30th, 2019. Hatsala has been a model tenant and is current with their lease payments. It is recommended that the City Council approve a one-year lease extension for 13650 Oak Park Boulevard, Suite A, to Hatsala upon approval by the City Attorney's Office.
Is there a motion for this?
So moved?
Support?
Do something.
Support?
Good. Would Hatsala like to speak to us, or?
We can't hear you. The microphone's
Come on
not
up to
picking
the
it up.
mic, so,
You're wearing your speaking tie.
thanks from Hatsala.
In the interest of full disclosure, last time when this came up for a vote, our attorney said that even though I volunteer at Hatsala, since I am not on the board and I'm not an officer of any sort, I am not conflicted out of voting on this. So, assuming that's still the truth, I will vote tonight as well. Thank you.
Any questions? We're delighted to have you. Hope you stay many years. And do we need a roll call on this? Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Madam Mayor, members of council.
Welcome back.
15B, under Human Resources, I'd like to ask our Human Resources Director, Vicki Brooks, to join me at the podium for our request to approve updated municipal employee retirement system agreements. Vicki, take it away.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Periodically, the MERS participation plan documents relative to the administration of the defined contribution and healthcare retirement plans have to be updated to reflect any current practices as outlined in our bargaining agreements. A part of that process is the adoption of the new agreements and approval to forward them to the MERS board for final execution. Council is being asked to adopt these revised agreements and approve submittal of those agreements to MERS.
Okay.
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Questions about this? No. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Motion carried.
Director Maroney, if you could join me at the podium for 15C, update on tax foreclosed properties, please.
Good evening. This is the third year of the tax foreclosure program and buying all the tax foreclosed properties through Oakland County. And this year, instead of using just one vendor, we decided to use two because we had excess properties than what we typically have, and decided to give another company a shot at it. They are here tonight to present the outcome of this past year and what they've done to the properties. Real Team Real Estate is the vendor that is going to be presenting tonight, and they also have an office here on 9 Mile Road as a real estate office, and they've been a very good neighbor in the community, participating in all of our events and sponsoring, so they've done a great job for our community. But we have Kevin DiVigilio, he's the company store leader for the 9 Mile office. They have a couple other locations, but he's in charge of the one here in Oak Park, so I will let him present what they've done.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. Just want to thank you for the opportunity. I'll be brief with you guys. We good to go? Sorry about that.
There.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Just a brief overview of the objective of the project. Obviously, we're trying to rejuvenate the properties and taking them from a depleted, basically a property that just needs to be updated and looking for homestead owners. So MRE Partners.
Can you speak up?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Is the
about
mic
that.
on?
Yeah, MRE Partners and myself at Real Team worked together to rehabilitate 4 properties so far out of the 6 that we were given last year in the process. 2 are completed and sold. 2 are completed and will be on the market by the end of the month. 1 is about a month out, and we have all the plans set for our new construction on our vacant land as well. The status of the projects is what I just went over with you. What we've done to the properties, basically from top to bottom, we renovated everything from the exterior to the interior. We put all new kitchens, all new bathrooms, all new flooring, basically new everything. And we've pulled the code and pulled permits for everything, new HVAC, new furnace, new hot water tanks. You name it, we did it. And I guess the pictures will tell us a lot more than me just rambling on here. So, well, this is a property off Ridgedale. It was the kitchen before and after. As you can see, when we acquire the properties, they're in relatively rough shape for the most part, and our goal is to attract people for homestead ownership into a new beautiful home. So this is the same property, bathroom before and after. The living room, the bedroom, one of the bedrooms. This was the basement, a little bit of transformation there. The exterior of the property. And this property required a new roof as well on the garage and the home.
Can't even see that.
This is the second property that was completed and sold off of Dartmouth. A little shot of the kitchen, the bathroom, the basement. This basement required some waterproofing as well. Shot of the basement. And this is the property that will be, it just was finished a couple of days ago, so this one will be on the market very shortly here. This one's off Sussex. A couple before and after shots for you.
Does your company do the work, or do you contract companies?
We contract out. So we have 2 partners in C3 Renovations and Randazzo Renovations. So we sub all the work out through them.
This kitchen work is Randazzo?
Yes.
How'd you know?
It's good work. Thinking about doing the kitchen.
This is the new construction that we have the plans for off of Albany. So, this project will be, we have everything kind of set in motion, our plans together, and should be ready to get rolling here in the next couple of months. It's the layout of the new construction floor plan. We're going to just, additional value for the city to go over briefly with you. administration fee of $1,500. The contribution to the local economy, my staff has grown rather largely, and I guess I didn't update this, but I apologize. 74% was actually what it is increased business transactions in the city of Oak Park over the course of the year. Just some of the events that my team and I have contributed and volunteered with are the Sherman Pop-Up Park, the Winterfest, and we're looking forward to the 4th of July Fun Fest as well. The timelines, very similar to the last year. We're looking to get into the properties as quickly as possible and secure them and make sure that they're within our ordinance and not an eyesore from day one. All properties that we did allocate last year, we did have people that were in the property at the time, and so that process does take some time. Once we get through that process, it's relatively a quick turnaround, anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get a property back up and rehabilitated.
I would bet the neighbors are happy to see you.
They are.
How about that property in Albany? What do you expect that to go for?
Albany, you know what? That one is probably going to be listed at around $100,000. To be honest, it's not going. It's something that obviously we never built before, so this will be a new project for us. We've teamed up with a couple of great contractors who kind of know the ropes and have walked us through the process, and it'll be a fun project. So we're excited
Putting
for
some
it.
life into that area would be a huge
Absolutely.
benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited for it. Did I miss? Oh, sorry about that. And this is just kind of a cost summary of what we're putting into each property. I know. If you remember, last year when we discussed, we had a minimum investment of around $25,000 per property. We've definitely exceeded those numbers.
We can't see them. Can you read a couple of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So Roanoke is not quite finished yet, but the estimated expense is $38,000. The property on Dartmouth, which was completed and sold for $165,000, we put $45,500. Ridgedale was completed. That one we put $40,990. The sale price was $116,000. And Sussex is the property that I mentioned that will be on market here shortly. Was a $39,000 budget, and the list price will be $140,000 on that property.
Are there questions?
Oh, yeah. I thought your company was, you have to adhere to the same rules that Global Realty did in regards to deadlines, cost, and selling. Okay, I thought the selling prices were a bit high. I thought there was a certain, no? Okay.
I don't think we have a requirement on the price of the house. Minimum investment. You know what? We require a minimum investment in the house, that you can't just slap a coat of paint on it.
Yeah, I know.
And flip it.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a ceiling on the price.
I
It's
thought we had
market price.
talked about something about the price, and they're being actually sold to homeowners,
Homestead
not
ownership, yes.
renters.
Yes, we are selling to non-investment. It has to be a homestead owner that signs an addendum of a 2-year commitment to be in the property.
Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you.
We don't need a vote on this.
None to vote on.
Tyour Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
You've been a
time.
great corporate neighbor.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
15D, I'd like to ask Assistant City Manager Kevin Yee to join me at the podium, please.
Thank you. Attached is proposed change order number 3 and payment application number 5, the final payment for the 2016 water main replacement project M625. The change order is an increase for additional payment restoration that was not originally paid for. The project is now complete. It is recommended that proposed change order number 3 for the 2016 water main replacement project M625 to ADJ Excavating be approved for the amount of $1,500. It is further recommended that payment application number 5, final, for the same be approved for the amount of $2,500. Funding is available in the Water and Sewer Fund for this project.
Okay.
So moved.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions?
I think we should do it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
motion
We're back
carried.
to being unanimous again.
Yeah, so we don't have to be unanimous on everything.
Assistant
can
City
speak
Manager
your mind.
E15E, please.
Thank you. The city and the 45th District Court interviewed 3 architecture firms for the renovation work to the 45th District Court. After the interviews, the selection team unanimously selected OHM Advisors to perform the services for this project. It is recommended that the proposal from OHM Advisors to perform professional services for architecture and engineering services for the 45th District Court renovation be approved for an hourly not to exceed amount of $12,000 for the discovery phase of the project and a design development fee of 6.75% of the estimated project cost upon review of the city attorney's office. Funding for this project is available in the Court Municipal Building Construction Fund.
That's wonderful.
So moved?
Okay, so we've got a proposal, we've got a motion,
Second?
it's moved and seconded. Questions? Councilmember Rich.
If the contract provides for that part 2 and 3, 6.75% of the estimated cost of the 1.3 million. Are we definitely moving on to parts 2 and 3? Have you seen, or is this the type of thing, if you see the architectural plans, you don't like it, you're going to scratch it?
No,
the
the intention is to build out and complete the project. So the initial discovery phase for 12,000, and then the part where we're going to plan the project. There's a lot of work that needs to be done over there. We need to prioritize it and figure out what we're going to do. And then the design development fee of the 6.75% is
Roughly $78,000.
correct. That's for the actual design of the work itself.
And you said that the money for this is sitting in which fund right now?
It is in the Court Municipal Building Construction Fund, so it's the amount that was set aside from each ticket that was for improvements to the court facility.
How much will be left over in that fund after the project?
Well, the fund is changing every day because there's fees going to it, but I think we're estimating about $100,000 remaining after this, after the 1.3 is allocated to that.
All right, thank you.
City Manager Tunge.
Council members, I just wanted to remind you that this rehabilitation project, if you will, was part of the terms of our settlement agreement as well. So this is just carrying that out.
What changes are they talking about? What do they expect it to look like?
They want some security upgrades, they need some essentials, some roofing work, some HVAC, air conditioning, heating work, some electrical. So there's a variety of different things over there. We're gonna go through, study, prioritize, and do what is best ultimately for both parties.
Court function.
Courtroom 1 renovation, keep in mind, was budgeted last year. We held off on that. That's put into this project now. So there's a lot of need over there, and we're going to try to make the most of the funding available.
Courtroom 1 chairs are, you sit in them at your own risk.
I've sat in them for years. I completely understand the need.
So we're delighted that that's going to be happening. Thank you. We have a motion and a second?
Yes.
Another question? Yes.
How much money did you say that we have available for the renovation itself?
$1.3 million has been budgeted, or is in the proposed budget, actually, for this project.
And you think that's enough to cover this?
Well, we have a limited amount of funds, and we're
All
going
right.
to use them as wisely as we can and try to meet the best case scenario for, like I said, for both parties.
Okay.
Is it enough to do everything? Well, never, but
1.3?
Yeah.
It seems like such a waste. You know, this whole big, beautiful building went up. We maxed out our credit card to pay for it and left the court building looking like that. Now we're stuck maintaining that old building.
It was a little bit
Yeah,
more
if I
than
could,
that.
though,
Yes.
Madam Mayor. Keep in mind, I mean, that's, to some extent, that's true, but at the same time, the revenues that go into this fund to make up the 1.3 million are not our taxpayers necessarily. These are from tickets that are written by public safety and go into these funds.
No, I know that.
And I just wanted to add also that we held out as long as we possibly could on upgrading and doing things to the court. Since I've been on council, which is over 5 years. That's a big spot of contention that comes up every year. So I'm glad to see that we're finally doing something about it, even though I was one of the ones who was against it for so long.
Now, that building definitely needs work.
Yeah.
I practiced there for quite a while until I was finally conflicted out when I got this position,
And
sitting in those chairs.
Assistant Manager Kevin Yee is someone who can squeeze a nickel until the buffalo hollers, so he will get every penny's worth out of that. Thank you. Did we vote?
No.
A vote, roll call, please, yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yeah.
motion carried.
Thank you.
Council members, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Tungate. Call to the audience. I hope everybody's here because you've got a lot to talk about. Please give us your name and address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Stephen Gold, 15,000 Leslie Street in Oak Park. Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, council members, City Manager Tungate, please bear with me. You'll see the relevance to our city at the end. As you know, there are, I think, around 1,600 Oak Park homes and businesses that lost power, and many of our residents are still without power and facing additional cold, dark, powerless days and nights. According to the statistics I've gathered, many outages are caused by animals, accidents, equipment failure, and in southeast Michigan, an unusually high percentage of weather issues. We can't control squirrels shorting out power lines or cars knocking down the power poles, but many of these current outages were probably preventable, as the majority of these current outages were caused by tree limbs breaking wires. While some of the trees were in backyards and the responsibilities of the homeowners, the outages affecting the largest number of residents were due to untrimmed trees in or infringing into DTE easements. Let me illustrate this. In the winter of 2016, DTE marked several trees and bushes along the easement in my backyard for trimming. I waited all summer and DTE never showed up. In the summer next year, the summer of 2017, a DTE supervisor once again inspected my yard, this time leaving a door hang tag asking for my permission to trim or remove trees or bushes. I signed the card, called the supervisor, spoke with him, who then came out and picked up the card. I asked him when the work would be done, and he said their contractors, not DTE themselves, schedule this work, and he had no control over that. As of today, 6 months later, no trimming has occurred. DTE has a real problem with trimming trees, and it is our residents who pay the price. I request the city hold DTE accountable for their lack of follow-through with their line clearance program, causing the preventable outages, and bring that to bear to them the message that this is unacceptable.
We will gladly do that. Probably the the only time since I've been mayor that I screamed at a group of people was the last time we had DTE here in our conference room. True?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council, Michelle Smart, 21380 West Hampton. I'm here because about 3 weeks ago, I arrived home and noticed yellow flags in my yard, had no idea why they were there, never got a notification that anything was going to take place at my home. The flags extended from my property to my neighbors across the street. I called the number, Miss Digg, and only to find out that the city was doing some repair work in my yard. No notification. I inquired at the city as to when this was going to take place. I was told that they had no idea when it was going to take place, but it would happen. This was on a Thursday. That Monday, the digging folks showed up. They dug up my lawn to replace the water box. and they said my water box was old, it was as old as the house, and it needed to be replaced. And in doing so, my yard was totally disturbed. I inquired about when it was going to be replaced. They said, oh, in a couple days your yard would be replaced. You know, they would send someone out to do all of the repair work. Never happened. I called again. I've called the city several times.
Can you give me your address again?
It's 21380 West Hampton. I called the city to inquire, and I was told that I should be very happy that they did this, because if there's a water leak in my home, that it would be an issue with not being able to turn the water off. What I'm asking is that if there's any way that we can kind of make this public so that people know that when the yellow flags are showing up in their yard, you know, that this is the process of the city. I had no idea that as to even why it was even taking place. So it would be nice to have something on the website. I mean, you send out all of these notifications about other things. If you're doing a restoration of the water boxes that have been in the home since, you know, when they were built, it would just be nice to know the process, okay? We're going to replace the water box, your lawn's going to be torn apart, and I even said, you know, my lawn looks like a cemetery lot. I pay to have my lawn serviced, and I was told that my restoration, or my lawn looked better than some of the other ones. So I guess it's a common process, but for me it was just totally unacceptable. I do have good news in that on Friday I did come home and they did the restoration. They did put the straw and all of the stuff that's part of the restoration, but the frustration was from day one when I came home to see the flags in front of my home. No idea why, and then getting mixed information from the city.
Communications issue.
The communication was terrible. So
Thank you for bringing that to our
appreciate you.
attention.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I see some familiar faces in the back. Do you want to say anything?
Hello, good evening,
Good
Mayor, Councilman. Greg Markarian, 23400 Seneca. Coming by, got a couple issues. First one is, and I guess a couple people have touched it already, is communication. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to get in touch with different offices throughout the city, and between leaving messages or nobody answering the phone, or when I do get through, leave a message either with the secretary or I get put through the voicemail and still no return phone calls.
What
So
department?
I had pulled, I don't know if you remember me from a couple months ago, I had pulled a permit so I could start getting the property we got fixed up, and we pulled a permit for a fence. Well, I got a couple questions regarding the fence, because we were told one thing, and then once I pulled the permit, there's another issue I brought up that I want to talk to you about. We were told one thing, so I pulled the permit, and once the permit was pulled, then between the ordinances and what we were told completely changed. And now I'm trying to get in touch with everybody to find out, okay, well, I was told this, and now I'm being told this.
The
and
gentleman behind you, Rob Barrett, if you
yeah,
would
so I was gonna
talk to
talk
him.
to him, because this seems like the only way I can get in touch with him is come here. So,
He will.
and then, it's just the fact of nobody returns phone calls. I
Thank
know
you.
that everybody's busy. I mean, I work 14, 16 hours a day myself, every day, 6 days a week. So it's hard if, we end up playing phone tag or whatever it ends up being, but, it's, morning hours, I make a phone call, just make a phone call back.
Frustrating.
It takes a couple minutes to resolve something that turns into a big issue.
Thank you for coming.
So, thank you.
And I talked to
Yeah, I
Mr.
will.
Director Barrett.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Reginald Hawkins. I'm a senior at Berkeley High School. My address is 24601 Scotia Road, Oak Park, Michigan. I came here today because I don't know if anyone's been keeping up with the recent student-led walkouts and March for Our Lives and that whole thing taking place. So in my school, I've been very public and like a vocal leader. I've been like on the news a few times and the radio, just talking about the issues that have been taking place with like school shootings and gun control and just various things amongst those lines. I also like helped to plan a trip to DC, so I took like 110 students from my school and we went to DC to March for Our Lives with our school. So we planned that trip. So a lot of like people in government think that since like young people aren't really taking any action right now, that like we're just going to stop after and it's going to fade away. So I'm here for two things. My first thing is about the March for Our Lives, and I want to see if it was possible for us to, in Oak Park, to have some sort of meeting or forum where the police department and various people in the government can come together to talk about these issues and see how specifically our city is, what their standpoints are and what the people should know about gun control in Oak Park, as well as we can link together with cities like Oak Park, Huntington Woods and Berkeley and Royal Oak, and just to get a public forum and discussion about gun control in our area.
Thank you so much for coming. Officer Benson, Devin Benson, is in the back. I'd like to speak to him about that. And also, our state representative, Robert Wittenberg, just had a forum like that in Ferndale, and I would be delighted to participate because he's the one that brought forth some legislation about that in Lansing. So I'll be there. You have it, I'll be there.
Okay. And then also, my school, we have a DECA chapter. DECA is a business, hospitality, leadership, and management competition. And so there are 3 stages to the competition: the district, state, and internationals level. And so 21 students from our school made it to the internationals conference in specific, and I made it to the conference also.
Where is it being held?
At Atlanta, Georgia this year. And so we thought like we're trying to raise money for like sponsorships and such, and like some people are seeking out individual sponsorships or as a group, and we're wondering if the city would be willing to make any sort of contribution to the trip or to my trip or any of the people going on the trip.
I think individually we can, contribute. I don't think the city as a policy. The city can't, but you can talk to individual council members and
All right.
twist an arm or two and.
Thank you. Okay, that's all.
See me after.
Okay, have a great day.
Anybody else feeling talkative? No? All right. Next, for council comments, I just wanted to say a word about the tax foreclosed properties. At first, with all the foreclosure crisis, the problem was that companies in China or in California would buy up 50 houses in Oak Park, slap a coat of paint on them, and put renters in there. And it was not good for our neighborhoods. So we found dependable companies that would buy up these properties, put significant money into improving them. As you saw, new roofs, new kitchens, new bathrooms, new furnaces, all of that. And then selling them within a year to someone who is going to be our neighbor and living here permanently. So it has been a very rewarding program for us. And my son, Andy Meisner, skims some of the people off the top. If he can get a payment program with them to save their houses, he will do that. And so this has been just a very feel-good project. The neighbors are thrilled that the houses have investments in them, turning the worst house on the block to the best house on the block. And that's good for all of us who live in Oak Park. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Thank you all for coming out. Have a good evening.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you for coming out. Please be conscious of the weather changes. Only in Michigan where we could have 73-degree weather on Thursday, then an ice snowstorm on Sunday. Take care.
Amen, amen. Councilmember Weiss.
Yeah, stay safe and stay warm. I am also without power, for those of you without power, so I understand the struggle. I just have a couple of things I wanted everyone to be aware of. The library is having a spring used book sale from April 19th through April 24th, so please come out, get some new books, and support the library. The Tri-Community Coalition, where I'm fortunate enough and privileged enough to serve as the program director, we're having our Health and Wellness Fair on April 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Oak Park Community Center. We're partnering with the 3 cities we serve, Berkeley, Huntington Woods, and Oak Park, are all sponsoring that. It's going to be from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Recreation Center, Community Center. There will be a lot of activities for kids. There will be helpful information. There will also be, there's going to be fun activities like a photo booth. It is a free event, so please come out. And our county commissioner earlier, Helene Zach, talked a lot about the opioid crisis and pointed out that we do have a drop-off box here at Oak Park Public Safety. I also just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that April 28th is National Take Back Day. So try to get the word out to let everyone know it's the day to clean out your medicine cabinet. Make sure if you have any expired or unused prescription drugs that you take them back to public safety on that day. You can take them back any day, but that's just a day we try to bring awareness to it. And then also on Sunday, April 29th from 6:30 to 9:30 is World Dance Day. Come on out for that. There will be representatives from all sorts of cultures at that event. And then Springfest is going to be on May 6th at 1 p.m. At the Recreation Center. And then the last thing I will say is that the Inside Out program is coming soon.
Tuesday, isn't it coming on Tuesday?
It's coming soon.
Coming soon.
I don't know what day.
They're going to be
mystery.
putting up.
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout for art.
Yeah.
Councilmember Rich.
Good night.
Okay. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned. Anybody want to donate to this kid for his trip?